Today my university in Salford starts back its teaching term, and I had my first tutorial take place at lunchtime, which brought 10 students together, all of whom had met each other online before this session to discuss some of the key things they need to know going forward for their degree. It has been a remarkable experience, partly because it's been such a long time coming. We've been off campus now for 6 months, and it's been a really challenging period for all of them. This first 2 weeks of getting to know the university, getting to understand what's going on. And for me as a professor in the School of Science, Engineering and Environment, it's a moment for thinking about what it is that we do as a university, what is the value we bring to the lives of the young people that accompany us for 3 years of their life, in learning about a subject, a set of ideas, a set of concepts that hopefully will stand them in good stead in the future, not just with finding work after university, but with thinking about their lives more widely. And we have a wonderful module that's on study skills that allows students the chance to discuss some of these ideas, from the cornerstone of peer review that underpins the academic research process, to the way in which ideas circulate across disciplines, between disciplines and through disciplines, that help us hopefully get closer to understanding the world around us and indeed our relationships as people. And no greater time is there than now to really explore these ideas when so much is really in flux. We are struggling to make sense of the physical world, the biological world, but also the social world, and we're having to find new ways of relating to each other, to exploring ideas, exploring the kinds of subjects that we really need to get into to hopefully advance our understanding, but also to try and find new ways of valuing what it is we do. As a young lecturer, I guess I got into higher education partly because of teaching. It was the opportunity to talk about ideas with students that were open-minded, ready to discuss, happy to disagree with each other, and being within a place where you could do that, and where there were no boundaries, was one of the biggest appeals. And I still, in my early sessions with undergraduates, talk about the idea of the university, the place in which you can have critical, controversial debates about subjects that are difficult to think through, and where you can expand your ideas as a person by being surprised by the ideas of others, and having the chance to scrutinize your belief system is at the heart of what the university experience is all about. And in the first couple of weeks, we've had induction events which have been run online, and I've certainly spent more time with my students over those 2 weeks than I have in any other year in these initial weeks. I think it's, in many respects, we've had more contact than we've had otherwise, and I hope that continues. I hope we feel that these digital environments will allow us to build even closer working relationships. And I remember as an undergraduate being spoken to by lecturers and professors and talked about as being equals, and how we are each on this kind of common pursuit to understand the world. And we do that through lectures and seminars and discussions and assessments, and all those things are places of kind of deep collaboration between students and lecturers that I think is often obscured from the way in which we think about and indeed publicly talk about what we do. We get so lost in the rhetoric that describes students as customers and universities as service providers, but it's so far from what it is that we think we do as academics, which is mostly trying to make sense of the world. And yes, there's an expectation to bring opportunities that will advance young people's careers, that will hopefully increase their chances of having an income at the end of it. But all of those things are instrumental, and yet it's the intrinsic value of university that is really what describes its value. It's not the degree, it's not the qualification, it is that process of critical development that university brings, not just through the course content or the classroom itself, but through the many informal interactions that take place between students themselves and between students and lecturers, that is really at the heart of what a university is. And I think to understand that, it's important to have gone through the process. Without having understood what that process involves, it can be hard to get across that value. People, I think, from the outside consider it's just a place where you go to get skilled up for the workplace. But I think MIT has it right when it talks about trying to create graduates who have skills for jobs that do not yet exist. Is a wonderful sort of way of thinking about what universities do. We are in the business of designing and innovating subjects, of realizing new concepts that affect our natural world in ways that we haven't yet imagined. All of the research we do is hoping to bring some groundbreaking insight into our social world that can inform us going forward. We're not simply trying to churn out skills and products and services. We're trying to make sense of this complicated world in which we live. And as we move forward into a blended learning environment where we spend some time with students face to face and some time delivering online experiences, it's that aspect of the university that for me is at the heart of my mind. How do I think about relating to students in a deep way through these online platforms? And as someone that's been an advocate for them for many, many years, I guess I'm biased towards thinking that, in fact, not only can we deliver something that's as good as face-to-face, we may even deliver something that's better than face-to-face. In my mind, if I can spend more time with students through these platforms than I would otherwise, then I think that's already a great start. And already we have so many channels of communication and collaboration available to us that the internet brings, that digital space is creating. And that is almost an unlimited amount of opportunities for us to connect, for us to work together, and to find new ways of bootstrapping our own collective knowledge about a subject, so that after 3 years of a degree, we are all in a better position of understanding the world a little bit more precisely. And the future of the university is something that's always been a kind of focus for my thoughts when thinking about how we work as an institution, for considering how we interact with each other, how we collaborate. And there's so much changing at the moment. Universities are trying to work much more closely with a wider range of sectors, not just the science and technology sector, but also with the arts and media sector, to build those partnerships, to build a sense of community around an institution that really should be at the heart of civic society. The university as this place in which one can explore ideas, opinions, perspectives in a way that hopefully feels welcome to all kinds of points of view, but where also those points of view can be critically scrutinized, not in a way that's judgmental, but in a way that hopefully allows all parties to think differently, or at least to more adequately understand their own perspectives, is what the university is all about. We do that often through research, but we do it also through teaching. And so when I think about what I would want for these students starting the university this year without much face-to-face, I think it's that sense of being part of a collective that's going through a profound period in human history, certainly not in the lifetimes of many of the people around me, including myself, have gone through anything like this before. And whether or not you can go out, whether or not you can be in lectures, that sense of collective experience is still there. They're all going through the same thing. And as much as it's tempting to dwell on the fact that this is far less than what it might otherwise be, we don't know how long we're going to be in this situation. It could be quite a bit longer than anybody's predicted, but it might also be a feature of life going forward beyond the next 3 years. And we have to find new ways as societies to connect with each other in meaningful ways, to make sure that we can find value in each other's conversations, to find new points of contact. And I think given how much has happened over the last 20 years with regards to the development of digital technologies, we ought to be really good at that. We ought to find new ways of collaborating. We spend so much of our time in mobile digital spaces that we must surely value that experience in some way. And whilst it doesn't replace the physical face-to-face contact, there's a lot we can do to innovate within that world, and a lot that can be added to a CV by doing such innovation, by being critical actors and creators within that space. It's not simply a necessary route for us all to follow, given that we can't do much else. I think it's actually a really exciting opportunity to become real innovators who can create content, who can communicate and collaborate in ways that perhaps typically an undergraduate isn't able to do. We're, as lecturers, able to bring many more opportunities, I think, to students, given that they have so much online activity these days. And that's really exciting. I can think of so many different things that are happening, even over the next 3 months, that students can get involved with beyond their course. And I think that's it for me, that the university course is just one part of what that university experience is about. If students can look across their degrees into other schools even and look into what's happening outside of their disciplines, they get to discover such a treasure trove of opportunities and mind-blowing activities that are just out of this world, and literally in some cases. And that is the aspiration I have for students, to go beyond their discipline and for universities to be the conduits for them to transcend their boundaries and their sense of boundaries around their life that at the moment restricts how far they can go. And as lecturers, we also embrace that for ourselves. We want to make sure that everything we do broadens our own sense and appreciation of the world. And digital can do that in remarkable ways. Digital interactivity, digital conversations, and the capacity to create content through these environments is a great conduit into those kinds of experiences. So the future of the university, in my mind, is not impeded by the absence of face-to-face. It has the potential to evolve into something quite different. And whether we stick in that sort of zone for very long is hard to say. But I think it's clear that the value that we bring can be as exciting, as enriching, and potentially even more intimate than we achieve in a face-to-face environment. And it's important that we bear in mind that many people have felt that certain aspects of the university, the traditional university system, are in need for rethinking. The idea of lectures, of seminars, all of these formats have been interrogated by people that argue that students want much more interactive, dynamic content. And this year may be the time where we discover just how much we can get done by working in that way, rather than being tied to the face-to-face. Time will tell, but I think it's an exciting time to be in.